What up, what up, what up? We are here for another episode of Pete's Corner with Dre. I'm your host, Pete the Sports God. And out there in cyber world is my D-Money Drizzy Dre.
Yes, sir. What's going on, people?
And we're here for another episode to try to get you some more money. And I tell you what, Dre has been really hot for the past couple of weeks. He went 9-5 last week. He's been on fire, so you got to pay attention to his picks. I'm going to try to catch up to his level right now this week. And any comments before we get it right into it, Dre?
Nope. Like I said, people, as we go on later on in the season, we try to get you the best picks and again, money picks as well. Again, guys, continue listening, continue supporting the show. And like I said, let's get this money, Pete.
We didn't know Seattle was going to shit the bed like that, but we did push you to, if you listen to the episode before the game, to bet on Green Bay heavy, and they won theirs heavy. So we definitely said that was going to be either our first or second choice, and that definitely worked out well. So got to pay attention to the episodes.
Yeah, so we came out hot. We came out hot.
All right, so let's see if we can do the same thing this week. Thursday night, tomorrow night, Tennessee Titans -2 versus the Indianapolis Colts. Since they're my team, I'll let you go first, right?
Look, the line change says it all. If I'm not mistaken, the line's opened up with Colts being favorites. I actually like Tennessee to win and cover. You say you got a -2, correct? I see -1, but regardless, I think that they're going to win by at least, I'll say 4 to 5 points. This isn't going to be a blowout. This is probably going to come down to like whoever has the ball last type of game, especially the way both teams been playing. I just think that the Tennessee Titans have been playing they are a better team, slightly a better team this season than the Colts. But the Colts always find a way to fall apart, and I think Tennessee do what they do best, which is just pound the ball and take the time off the clock.
So you got Tennessee covering the 2-point spread. Let me get some stats before I say this pick. You can go one of two ways, and I'm going to give you two stats that can make you go either way with this game. First stat, Tennessee, they're 4-1 at home. They average 33 points per game at home compared to only 22 points on the road. So they're very comfortable at home, and they've been playing very well at home, scoring a lot of points. Other stat for for Indianapolis Colts, the Titans don't beat the Colts. That's just what normally happens. These teams, first of all, the Titans have only beaten the Colts 4 times since 2008. 4 times.
Wow.
And keep in mind, these teams play each other twice every single year. So in the last 23 games they played against each other, the Titans are 4-19. Now, granted, most of those games are with either Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck. But the point is that they have a mental block against the Indianapolis Colts. They finally seem like maybe they can get over it last year because they won the last time they played in December last year. But like I said, overall, over the past 12 years, the Colts have completely owned the Titans. So going either way, whether you want to go against this has been the history for the past 12 years, or if you want to go Titans you think are just better this year and they're going to win. Either way, you can make that decision on the bet. I'm going to say Indianapolis Colts because I think the Colts need the game more than the Tennessee Titans. I think if the Tennessee Titans were to win this game, that puts an end to the division. I think the Titans would definitely have control of the AFC South because they would have the game lead over the Colts, plus they would have the tiebreaker because of the win. I think that completely puts them away. I think ESPN even did the percentage that if Tennessee wins this game, it moves them to an 89% chance to win the division. So they would be completely in control. However, if the Colts win, the Titans still have a 50% chance to win the division. So the Colts, on the other hand, if they don't win, their percentage is less than 10% to win the division. So the game means a lot more to the Indianapolis Colts than it does to the Titans. And as we get into the second half of the year, I'm going to be leaning towards the teams that need it more. So if the Titans are going to be a brand new championship contender team, they have to win a game like this. And that's why I said, if you think they are, you bet the Titans. But if you think that this could be another one to the past, you want to go with the team that probably wants it more, it's probably the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. So moving on to.
I'm not going to lie, Pete. That's a pretty interesting statistic that you just brought up there. Yeah. Typically in these, like with what you just said, just throw the teams away. If you just said, hey, Dre, team 1 and team 2, and you give me those statistics, typically, I'm not going to lie, like even with the Steelers, I would typically lean towards history. So,
Yeah.
like, again, if you're telling me that the Tennessee have only been like the Colts 5 times out of 23 times,
Yeah.
again,
Four
despite
times out of 23 times.
yeah, typically I would lean towards history. Same thing
Yeah.
with like the Browns. They haven't beat Pittsburgh since in Pittsburgh since like 2000 and shit.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I just think that the Colts are like you said, completely different team. It almost looks like Tennessee starting to turn into the direction where they're taking control of the AFC South.
Well,
For the most part, again, that's the direction to me that they're leaning towards. It's almost like the Colts are taking the backseat this time around.
Well, this is it. If the Titans win this game, they'll have a 2-game lead in the division as well as the tiebreaker. So they will control the AFC South if they win this game. If they don't, they'll be tied in the standings at 6-3, and the Colts will have the tiebreaker. So this game means a lot more to the Colts. Titans can actually almost put the division away with a win here. Moving on to the next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -5 versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay just because I think Tampa Bay plays. They're on that team that they're ready to blast off. They're still not ready to beat the top elite teams, but Carolina isn't a top elite team. If you remember when they played earlier in the year, Tampa Bay played well against them. They covered their spread back then. I think they're going to do it again. When I predicted the spread for this game, I thought it was going to be 7. So when I came down to 5, I was like, it's an easy pick for me to pick Tampa Bay because I think they'll win by either 6 or 7. So I got Tampa Bay in that one. What about you? And also, that is my second pick of the week. So what's up with you now, Dre?
Yeah, I agree, Pete. I think Tampa Bay wins this game. Right now, on my note card, I got it 35-18. To me, that looks about right. I feel comfortable with that. I think they went pretty comfortable, especially after getting embarrassed last week. I'm not going to lie. After that game, call it what you want, say what you want. If you're a Brady or a Tampa Bay fan or whatever, if you're rooting for Tampa Bay, that was concerning.
It's embarrassing.
Highly concerning because this wasn't a bad coaching game. This looked more like a Tom Brady played bad type of game.
Oh, it definitely was. The guy after the game, they said they missed Mike. Even the coach said it. Bruce Arians after the game was like, we saw Mike Evans open a lot during the game. There was like, so what was the reasons that Brady couldn't get the ball? It was like, and he said pretty much Mike Evans was open. I don't know, but Mike Evans was open.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I like about Bruce Arians because, he doesn't try to sugarcoat things. I remember when the whole 4th down situation, They asked him if Brady was confused or not. He said, no, he knew what down it was. So, again, that's what I like about Bruce Arians. Even though I do critique him at times, he's straightforward, transparent, no bullshit type of guy. But hey, listen, I respect that regardless. Like I said, concerning with Tampa Bay, all of that, I do have them pretty much winning this game pretty comfortably, double digits.
All right. Moving on to the next one, Cleveland Browns -3.5 versus the Houston Texans. When the spread came out, I was very surprised because I actually had Houston as the favorite. I think Houston's going to win the game outright. But even take the 3 points because even if Cleveland wins by a field goal, you'll still cover anyway. So I got Houston definitely covering this one. And this will tell you how confident I am in some of the picks that I made this week. That's still not even one of my top 3 picks to give you this week. So there's a lot more. There's a lot more to come later on. But I got Houston covering 3.5. What about you, Dre?
Yeah, that's crazy because it's funny you said it. You said that the Houston should have been the favorite. So earlier in the week, I had Houston winning this game 28-26. And before we started the show, Pete, I said that there was a couple of games that I had switched on. Well, this is a game that I switched on. Now I'm leaning Cleveland to win and cover. However, maybe my initial thought was right, like you said, Pete. You got Houston winning, but just enough to cover that 3.5 point spread in case it did lose or whatever. But my official pick, I'm going to say Cleveland wins and covers this game. Mm-hmm. I just think that with Nick Chubb coming back, they're going to get the run game going a lot, which obviously opens up the passing game, and I think they do just enough to contain Houston.
All right. Moving on to the game that will be probably not watched by much, even by their fans. The Detroit Lions versus the Washington football team. Detroit is a 4-point favorite in this game. I did have Detroit. I expected them to be the favorite. I just didn't think it'd be 4 points. I thought it was going to be more like 1, maybe 2 points. So making it 4 points and putting it over field goal has pushed me to Washington's side, as I think Detroit probably win it by a field goal if they do win it at all. So I'm going to go with Washington football team to cover the spread. What about you, Dre?
I like Detroit to win this game by at least a touchdown or more. To be honest, I think they do just enough. Washington they haven't really been competitive. Maybe earlier in the season though, but again that kind of died out for them. We don't know what the quarterback situation is. I don't know what's the deal with Dwayne Haskins. I'm surprised that this kid's not even playing.
Nah, it's gonna be Alex Smith.
Yeah, exactly. And Alex Smith, that's my dude. But again, he hasn't really been playing all that good either, to be honest. But with that being said, I think Detroit wins this game pretty comfortable.
All right. Moving on to the next one. Green Bay Packers minus 13 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you got, Dre?
Second best pick of the week. I'm going to go Green Bay Packers. I got them winning on my note card 35-14. I think they went pretty comfortable. Not much to be said with this one, to be honest.
I'm surprisingly going to go the other way. I think the NFL is a very hard league to blow out teams in normally, and I think it's very rare that you'll see a team win by blowout 2-3 weeks in a row. After Green Bay had their blowout game last week on Thursday, I don't know if we're going to see it again back-to-back weeks, especially when it seems like this kid that Jacksonville has a quarterback, the rookie, he likes to throw the ball downfield. He played well last week. He woke up their top wide receiver, DJ Chalk, who had like 150 yards and a touchdown. So I think Jacksonville is going to be competitive. I still think they'll lose the game, but I think it'll be more like a 7 to 10 point loss instead of a 2-touchdown loss. So I'm actually going to go with Jacksonville to cover that 13-point spread.
All right.
Moving on to the next game, the battle of the East Coast as the Philadelphia Eagles minus 3.5 versus the New York Giants. What do you got, Dre?
I got Philly winning by 4, so I'm going to say they cover that game, but I wouldn't touch it, to be honest, because, division game, both of these teams aren't playing that good, but in a weird way, they're playing competitive to their own rights. With that being said, I would say that Philly covers at 3.5, barely by half a point, by a point maybe, but again, I wouldn't touch this game, to be honest.
I had Philly by four, and obviously the 3.5. I'm going to go with my gut and say Philly by 4. I think there's a chance that they could win this by a little bit more. One, because they're coming off a bye week. They had some time to get some players back, as Miles Sanders will be back at running back. Their offensive line is starting to get healthy, which is the most important thing. They talked to Carson Wentz. He talked about getting rid of the ball quicker because he's been sacked actually more than any other quarterback in the NFL. So he's holding on to the ball too long. And it looks like it will be the first debut again of Alshon Jeffrey, as he's been now health cleared to play, and it looks like he's going to come back. So with the return of Jeffrey, with the return of Sanders, with Wentz seeming to be rested now that without getting hit all the time, and with their offensive line starting to come back, I think Philly has a chance to break out. And actually, I think they could be strong the rest of the year. When you look at their schedule, I think they could really end the year strong. So I think it's time to I know everybody jumped on Carson Wentz and they dropped him. He only has 12 touchdowns. He has 12 interceptions. I think it's time to get back on him right now. I think that team is getting ready to boost up a little bit. Moving on to the next game, the Miami Dolphins minus 2.5 versus the LA Chargers. The Chargers, I'm telling you, they're the most exciting team in the league to watch, but they just keep losing games. This is going to be the big game of the week because you're going to have the two rookie quarterbacks that are both playing well. You got Tua versus Herbert. Both defenses have been solid, but not great. Dolphins defense has played much better. However, Herbert has played better. Tua's only had 2 starts, one of them good, one of them bad, but he is 2-0. So it's going to be a really good game. I'm going to go with Miami just because their defense is playing better. I think it has a chance that both of them could do well in the game, both Herbert, both Tua, and then a late defensive play by Miami wins this game and helps them cover that, with it being 2.5. So I got Miami. What do you got, Dre?
Yeah, good take, man. It's all right. So this is weird because I'm going to take a page out of Pete's book. I actually think Miami wins by a point, so I'm going to say the Chargers cover the spread. I got this final score 28-27, that type of game. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a fun game to watch, high-scoring game. My favorite pick of the week is going to be the total for this game, 48 points. There's no doubt that honestly, I could see both rookie QBs putting up at least 30 points. I'm not gonna lie. This has like a 38, 37, 35, 34 type of game, and like very high for some reason. Again, both rookie QBs are gonna come out hot. We know Herbert could play good. Tua Tagovailoa, he showed me that he could play good. Now I understand he's going into his third game. I don't want to hype him, but there's a really good chance they could lose the game though. But with that being said, there's no doubt in my mind that they're gonna ball out, and for that reason, I'm making the over 48 my best pick of the week.
All right, so definitely a big shocker as it's the second time this year. I think it's the second time that one of us has taken an over/under. I think you took it the first time also in week one. So definitely jump on that early as the over/under. That's one of our rare picks. Surprisingly, as our next game is the Arizona Cardinals -2.5 versus Buffalo Bills. This will be my number one pick of the week, and it is also an over, as I think it will be.
Wow.
I think this one will go over 56. I think it'll actually go over 60. If you look at the statistics on both of these teams, neither one of their defenses are top 10 against the other one. Like, for example, Arizona isn't a top 10 run defense. Buffalo isn't a top 10 run defense. Arizona isn't a top 10 pass defense. And Buffalo is not a top 10 pass defense. Both of the quarterbacks are able to run the ball in third down situations. Both of the quarterbacks are playing well right now. It's going to be a throwing type game because both of the running backs are solid, but they're not great. So I think this is going to be a very high scoring game, and I think it's going to be the closest game of the week. I think if you had to put, this is the first I'm going to say this, that this is a game that I would actually consider putting a bet that it will go to overtime. I think this is going to be that close of a game, and I think it's going to be probably the most fun game to watch. So, but in terms of picking the game, I'm going to say Buffalo, just because I think that Arizona, I think, is getting the points just because they're at home. I think the game is completely even. I think it could be a 1-point type game, maybe a 2-point type game. But I think even pushing it to 2.5, 3 is too much. I think it's really going to be that close of a game. So I'm going to go, and like I said, I think they're giving Arizona 3 points because they're at home. And they normally do that. If you normally look at betting, they usually give the home team about 3 extra points. That would mean Buffalo by 0.5 point right now. I'm just going to go with Buffalo to take that. But I would say just enjoy this game and bet the over. That's my number one pick of the week, over 56.5. What about you, Dre?
That's a good pick, man. I actually like the over in this game too, and I agree. I can see both teams, and I'm pretty sure both teams will put up a lot of points, and that's a good call in the overtime. I can see that happening, and this game spilling into like the 6:30, 7 o'clock mark. With that being said, I like the Buffalo Bills to win this game as well. And just to confirm, Pete, the Bills are an underdog, correct? Because I know the line's kind of changed.
Yeah, okay. Arizona by 2.5 right now.
So this is my underdog pick of the week as well. So the Buffalo Wolves to win and cover this game flat out.
Mm-hmm. So definitely, I'm telling you, watch that game. That's going to be a good game. It could go either way. Arizona has been up and down sometimes. Buffalo has been up and down sometimes. Neither one of their defense is playing great. It's just going to be a great game to watch, I'll tell you. Check out that game and bet the over.
Yep.
Moving on to the next game, the Las Vegas Raiders -5.5 versus Denver. When I was looking this over, I had the Raiders at 3 to 3.5 point favorites. So when they pushed it to 5.5, and plus I like Denver anyway. Denver can score. They're playing well right now. KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy have been both playing well. Patrick has been playing well. Fant is back healthy. Denver can put up points with you. And I think Denver is actually going to cover this. I think they have a chance to actually win it, as there's a division rival game, anything can happen. But even if the Raiders do win by a field goal or by 4 points, I think Denver covers the spread. I'm going to go with Denver. What about you, Dre?
Yeah, so I had this game, the Raiders winning by 5. Mm-hmm. So again, that 0.5 point is just enough for me to lean Denver, actually. So I'm going to say Denver covers this game. Mm-hmm. The Raiders win. Again, division game, like you said, Pete, they're very close. And the fact that I had it at 5 and it's at 5.5, I feel pretty comfortable to take in Denver, at least to keep it close.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So Pittsburgh and Cincinnati is the next game up. And I'll go first since it's your team. We'll always pick our own teams after. But I actually thought that this was going to be an 8.5 point spread. Not because Pittsburgh has been covering high spreads, as you said last week. They haven't been. They didn't cover last week. But just because Cincinnati is still not really a good team yet, and 6.5 doesn't seem like a full, good enough credit towards Pittsburgh, I think if it was 7 or 7.5, that's more credit to say, all right, can they cover a touchdown or not? With it being 6.5, I'm going to take the give away the points and go with Pittsburgh 6.5 because I think they'll win it by 7. What do you think, Dre?
I agree. I got Pittsburgh to win and cover this game. I actually projected them to win at least by 11 points exactly, though. But again, if anything, I think the spread did drop because of the concerns of Ben Roethlisberger being on the COVID list.
Yeah.
But that's only because he came in contact with Vance McDonald, who did come out positive. But with that being said, that just means that he's at high risk. I personally think that he's good to go. Again, he was banged up in that Dallas game. Like I said, I knew Pittsburgh wasn't going to cover that game. It was too high of a spread. That was their third road game in a row, after going to Nashville and Baltimore, playing 2 physical games that came down to the last drive. And then they had to roll into Dallas to play it, even though they were a bad team and the quarterback did play pretty well. Again, at that point, Pittsburgh was already hungover, beat up. Ben had to go out, out the game the last couple minutes of the first half. He was pretty banged up. With that being said, I actually think that him not training this week is going to benefit him a lot. Mm-hmm. Despite that, he did lose the bye earlier this week. I think he's gonna get the much needed rest that his body needs now. And if he does play Sunday, which I do think he will, that they win this game pretty comfortably, at least by 10 points. They're back home. They're going to be pumped up, and they're going to want to at least try to protect that undefeated streak they got going on.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier about Ben. He wasn't mentioned as close contacts to somebody that tested positive for COVID. He did not test positive for COVID, so as long as he doesn't test positive for COVID, he probably will be taken off the list and he probably will play. I should also mention the same thing happened with Baker Mayfield. He was also in close contact with somebody that tested positive, but he has already tested negative and he's already been taken off the list. So the same thing will probably happen to Ben.
But just so but just so you guys can keep in mind, I remember last week the same thing happened to Matt Stafford, and he ended up playing Sunday. He ended up getting cleared the day of, or if not the day before. But all they do is put him on a 5-day quarantine protocol, whatever, for the safety of others.
Yeah. So moving on to the next game, this was a little surprised as I also had the other team being favored is the Los Angeles Rams -1.5 versus Seattle. I understand people are down on Seattle a little bit right now because of how they played against Buffalo, but I'm very surprised that they're actually an underdog. I can understand you making them maybe a 1-point favorite or a 2-point favorite. I'm surprised they're being the underdog right now, and because of that, I'm going with them as my upset pick of the week. So I think Seattle beats the Rams outright. What about you, Dre?
I agree. I think this game will be a high-scoring, close game, but I do project the Seattle Seahawks to defeat the Rams by at least 5 points. And again,
same thing with the Tampa. That's what I got them by.
And the same thing with the Tampa Bay game. I'm looking at Seattle's defense. If you're a Seahawks fans and you're looking at that defense, that's concerning because again, you guys gave away 2 first-round picks. And you guys, and granted, I know Jamal Adams he's been injured before, but he's back now. And there's no excuse as to why that defense should be playing the way they are. Again, especially if you give away 2 first-round picks. Playing that type of defense isn't going to fly in the playoffs. Yep. But that being said, I think Seattle can afford to lose this game. But I mean, obviously neither could the Rams, but I just think that Seattle has more of the firepower to at least outscore the Rams.
Yeah, this is their defense and how they've played, and they've also always been known as a defensive team. And the way they've played, but the thing about it is that when they had all those great defensive players, they were on rookie contracts, they're on small contracts. They all had to get paid, and everybody can't get paid at the same time in the NFL, especially when you got to pay the quarterback who's making almost $35 million a year. So people had to leave, and as people left on defense, their defense has gotten worse and worse. And they're at the point where the reason why I removed them on my Super Bowl list. Now, I didn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but I had them to be a contender for the Super Bowl. The reason why I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl is because of that defense. And that's why I moved Green Bay now at the top of my list for the NFC.
Good point.
But moving on to the next game, New Orleans Saints -9 versus the San Francisco 49ers. Who you got, Dre?
I got the New Orleans Saints to win and cover this game. Just barely. I actually got them winning by 10 exactly, but that's just enough to cover that nice spread, and I feel pretty comfortable about it.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had them also by a 10-point favorite. I think that extra point is enough to really stick me with New Orleans right now. San Fran is still going with Mullins at quarterback as Jimmy G is still hurt for the next few weeks. They look to get Tevin Coleman back at running back, so he may be able to help out a little bit, but I don't think it'll be enough. I don't think they'll be able to keep up with New Orleans, especially as we saw Michael Thomas back last week, and we can see, as we've been saying for almost a whole year, when Michael Thomas is on the field, that whole team is much more explosive, and we saw that last week against a good defensive Tampa Bay team as they completely blew them out. Moving on to the next game, the Sunday night game, Baltimore versus New England. Baltimore is a 7-point favorite. What do you got, Dre?
I got New England to cover. I got Baltimore to win this game. I think they win by 6. At least that's how I projected them to win by. Mm-hmm. So I think that 7 obviously would go the other way for New England's favor. I'm going to be honest with you, Pete. Baltimore hasn't looked the same. They haven't been playing the same. And I understand that Lamar Jackson did set a high bar for himself after having a spectacular last season. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think he's playing not even close to that to that level that he used to play, which is okay. I just don't think that they're as good as, again, obviously, as they were last season. I think that they fell off a lot. I think that Belichick does enough to contain Lamar Jackson, but I still think that they do enough just to win the game. But it'll be a tight game, I feel. I think it's going to be a closer game than what people expect. And I got the winner by 2 field goals.
Well, I've been very critical of Lamar Jackson because of how he plays in big games and how he plays against tough opponents. We've seen him lose to Kansas City. We've seen him lose to Tennessee. We've seen him lose to Pittsburgh. Every time he plays a tough opponent, he doesn't play as the MVP type Lamar Jackson. However, this is not a top-tier team. New England almost lost to the Jets. They did lose to Buffalo the week before that, and they're not a good team anymore. So I think that they're going to be able to take advantage of that. New England gives up the 8th most rushing yards per game. That opens up for J.K. Dobbins. I think he's going to have a big game. Mark Ingram is practicing, so it looks like he'll be back also. It's just one, and obviously you're going against Lamar Jackson, who gets a lot of rushes. So I think they're going to just run the ball down the throat. I think they're going to send a statement this week, but it's going to be a statement against another bad team. Until they beat a good team, I'm not going to believe that they're going to be a true Super Bowl contender. But against a team like New England, who's probably going to have a top 10 pick, I think they will blow them out. I think they'll win that game by more than 10. And that is the Sunday night game. But the Monday night game, Minnesota Vikings -3 versus the Chicago Bears. What do you got, Dre?
Listen, if I could have a second best pick of the week, this exactly would be it. And I would say Minnesota wins and covers this game. Minnesota's been playing well lately. Again, I don't know if it was due to lack of preseason or whatever, but they've actually been playing pretty well. 2 weeks ago, they had an impressive victory over Green Bay. Last week, they had a good win over Detroit, and they're getting going. And again, Dalvin Cook is starting to look good now. The play action is starting to connect, and I think they do just enough to a team that unfortunately is starting to go the other way. Again, Nick Foles hasn't been playing well. I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be now, and I think that Minnesota, with that momentum they have going on right now, is going to capitalize on the downtrend that Chicago is heading in.
I think you mentioned the 2 words of the reason why Minnesota is looking better is because they stopped throwing the ball so much with Kirk Cousins and they decided to run the ball with Dalvin Cook, a top 5 running back. Dalvin Cook has 6 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. He's broken long 50-yard runs in each game. He's been unbelievable. He's been at the top level of the league right now. He's probably playing as the best running back in the league. He's leading the league in rushing. And right now, I'm also going to go with Minnesota as they're just playing very well right now. Even though Chicago is very good against the run, I don't know if they can stop a hot Dalvin Cook right now. And like you said, because he's been so hot, he's been able to open up the play action. But right now, he's just carrying them right now, and he's on a mission. And we always knew how talented he was. The biggest thing about him was always about staying healthy. As long as he stays healthy, that team's going to keep clicking. He was hurt for a couple games earlier in the year, and as soon as he's come back and been healthy, that's when that team started rolling. So Minnesota's a good team, and as they're able to run the ball, they're able to keep the defense fresh off the field, which helps their defense out. Dalvin Cook is the center of that team, not just offensively and defensively. So with him rolling, I'm also agreeing and going with Minnesota. So just to recap all of our top picks. First pick for Dre, Miami, LA, Los Angeles Chargers over 48. His second pick was Green Bay, and his third pick was the upset pick of Buffalo, as they will upset the Arizona Cardinals. Mine, Arizona and Buffalo over 56.5 was my top pick of the week. Tampa Bay was my second pick, and Seattle with the upset over the Los Angeles Rams was my third pick. So, with that said, any last comments, Dre?
No, other than that, guys, like I said, continue supporting the show. Continue to take our picks. Like I said, me and Pete are starting to get hot. Although I did catch up to Pete. Like I said, Pete, he has a lot of solid picks, and sometimes he even predicts them right down to the score. Again, guys, tune in. We're just getting started, and the point is just to bring you guys a lot of success. So if you guys could share the word, we'll highly appreciate that, and let's make this money.
Yeah, exactly. Go, as we always say, go follow us on all these different things we have, whether it's Spotify or Spreaker or YouTube. We're on everywhere. So go out there and follow us. Once again, catch us next week. We'll be back again to give you more picks. I'm your host, Peter the Sports God. Out there, D Money Drizzy Dre.
Yes, sir. Take care, people.
And we will catch you next week. Oh, and just so YouTube doesn't cut off, we didn't own the copyright to the original song that came on, just so you don't cut us off this time. But we will catch you next week. Peace out, guys.
Peace.